Lower decks. There's Kal Kat. Right there. Yay! And I guess that's Silly Kelly? Cool. Yeah, in a minute we'll be reviewing this. Yeah. This is Kal Kat, the Kal Katster. And this is the premiere episode of Lower Decks Season 4, Twovix, the sequel to Twovix from Voyager. You caught a little snippet of Kal Kat's appearance on the show that I had to show just a clip for a second. He immediately gets shot with a phaser right there. So, but yes, for some reason Captain Kal Kat is on the Cerritos during the Twovix incident. He gets blasted. Good, yeah. Some Trek Corps people are on this too, and they should be annoyed that one of the Kal Kat subjects is on there. The Twovix story, the infamous Janeway episode of Star Trek Voyager, which caused the fandom to go nuts. One of those stories from the Trek Core Experience book. One of them that got them all. Was it ethical to? They created this weird Tuvok and Neelix being, because Neelix was annoying and Tuvok was too logical. Combined them together. Janeway separated them basically. Essentially murdered the creation that they made. This is a silly comedy episode dark comedy episode that takes that story and runs with it. And when something similar happens, the crew of the Cerritos visits the Voyager, which is being taken back to Earth to go to the Earth Museum, and then I presume the Space Museum afterward. In Picard season, a couple of 20 years later. It's not in Star Trek Picard yet. So yeah, because this is only 2385 coming up on the Mars thing. I wonder if they're going to do there. It's 2385, late 2384, early 2385, and in the series, and they reference the Strange New Worlds crossover. Say, well, we're not going to talk about the other Enterprise we visited. So that happened already between seasons. I'm assuming there's another crossover later on because or they just mention it in this one because it really wouldn't fit. They go to the Voyager. There's a curator there, kind of a Sheila V kind of character from Trek War, and he's a curator. Makes sense. And clearly the commander is Rachel Ronan. The other guy, who shows up later, and he's like, that's right, he's an Irish guy. And of course, there's a Paris type of guy that gets shot. But he has no lines. Kal Kat just gets blasted with a phaser for some reason. I just thought it would be funny. Anyway, so, but yeah, the captain of the San Jose is Kal Kat. The California class San Jose. But yes, it should be the Milpitas, but no, it's the San Jose. But yes, so we have so there's so they go on the ship, and there's like a bunch of references to Voyager. There's a macrovirus that gets out, it replicates. The hollow emitters are all over the ship. They get out, and the holodeck things are acting weird. Mariner gets the Irish town folk from the holodeck want Mariner. There's which is it was a gag. That's pretty funny. The Twovix thing goes out of hand, and they all the Twovix they merge Shax with Tawana, the cat, and no, not Shax. They merged Ransom, the commander guy with the cat. Isn't that right? Yeah. And when they imply that, or no, the engineer guy, the mousy engineer dude, that's basically taken after basically a spoof of Mike Gemelt, crossed with maybe a little bit of Barkley, but he's not Barkley. He gets merged with the cat. The Shax wants to shack up with the Twovix cat guy. Oh, how many memories do you still have? It's clearly a Slash story. They mention the holodeck thing again. Holodeck having issues. again. They got to clean it. They mentioned promotions or possible demotions. They have to get the crew back to Earth, the Voyager back to Earth, so they can put it in the museum. Eventually, they're going to put it on Earth first and then put it in the museum. So there's so yeah, this was I'm gonna watch since they posted episode 2 as well. I'm gonna post episode 2. It's funny that a lot of this stuff does appear to be they appear to be pay homage to the Trek core cast here, including some of them as Klingons in the ending. Then they go out there and they're all why not? Yeah, and the Chimera guy who gets shot is not supposed to be Kal Kat, it's Chimera, I'm told. But they don't know that Chimera is Kal Kat on Trek Core, so they just figured they just put him in there. It's the same guy. But yes, they should know that, but maybe they just wanted to do a gag. I'm assuming the guy that was turned around was Silicon. But yeah, and the Vulcan girl is hilarious. Whoever playing the Vulcan is that's a breakout character right there. You have Tendy's hyperactive, like she's basically Sandy from Jung Swan, but from decades ago. But she's also Tendy, the Orion lady from Mike Melt, so she's that too. The Rutherford is Rutherford from the trans humanoid guy. He's him from Mike Melt. He didn't pitch, though. What happened is the Lower Decks people read Cillian Space stories talking about him. We were talking about this story and the pitch and the script. Everybody knew about this script. It was all over the place. He put it all over the internet in 2016 because Star Trek Beyond. So everybody read it. So it's not that they got a pitch from him. It's that they read the script and they're like, oh, these characters are so silly. We'll include them in a silly version of Star Trek later. A silly Trek, if you will. Yeah, so they have their own version of silly Trek, which is awesome. And it works. Yeah, so it's they came up, everybody read that script. It's legend. Cillian Realms did 2 versions of it. One where they showed the script and the writers later mock it, and one where they incorporate the script into an episode where they go onto sort of like a holodeck planet, and they're in the script talking to the characters in it, which is kind of cool. There's 2 versions of it out there in the Kal Kat Cillian Realm story. There's almost a third one if you count the source of where it came from, the Trek Core Experience book, which was released later. And that one, it talks specifically about just the story, what happened, the legend of 2016, all that. And that one basically tells you, okay, this is just a straight up like news stories that happened, that led to those other episodes that were written later, like the news stories. And then you can read the news stories and the comments and all that. But yeah, so it's a different take. It's a third take on it. So technically, yeah. Technically, he did pitch. He just didn't pitch to Star Trek. He pitched to Trek Core, and they pitched to us. And he said, well, yeah. So there is a story. One of his is coming up in the 3rd season of Star Trek. Starship Locations. The final season of Starship Locations will be in production shortly. We're still doing the Robotech meets Transformers, and we're on the 3rd one. We just posted the 2nd one yesterday, and so it was nice of Lower Decks to kick an episode ahead and kick it. They aired this a week later, and then they aired episodes 1 and 2 to avoid confusion with Robotech meets the Transformers and Starship Locations, which is nice of them to do that. They didn't have to, because ours came out literally the day before theirs did. So it just happened that way. But Star Trek Locations Destinations, Starship Locations Destinations, the 3rd and final chapter, will be in production immediately after the Robotech, and it will be there's like a melt episode. There is one. So there is one in there. So yes, yeah. He it's a pseudonym though. We gave him we couldn't just use him as the Mary Sue. He's a Mary Sue on a planet, which is usually how we do a Cillian story. He causes trouble on the planet. But yes, there's at least two if you think about it. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna go on and read the next one here. Yeah, if it's a silly Star Trek, his story works. Yeah, Teddy is a Sandy Briggs. She's both. She's the character from Marshall Sportiest from Cillian Realms, the Sandy Talisman as it's called there, and she's the character from the Gamel story. Boimler is there too. Boimler is actually from Spacetime Eye. It's from a very obscure storybook collection series. Yeah. So that's interesting. It's one of ours as well. So they've been reading our stuff. Also, yeah, Boimler's from us, not from them. A little bit from them, but mainly from. So there's yeah, but yeah, Ransom is Henderson. And the gag there with the Mariner and her mother is that it's Libby and her daughter basically from location. Yeah. But they race swapped them, which is fine. But the original Libby and her daughter would be white McClanahan, very very Scottish Irish. They would be but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Fine. I don't care if they swap the races around. It would be interesting to meet McMahon and the others and to take notes on this story. They'd be like, oh yeah, we knew, yeah. It'd be nice to get paid, but the writer strike is still going on. So support the SAG after writer strike SAG thing. Don't wait till that's over before pitching again. No, there's actually no pitching for Star Trek anyway. There was the rules in 2016 said you cannot pitch for Star Trek. Absolutely not. We will throw your stuff away if you send us anything. They said that in there. Don't do that. There was a writing contest 20 years before that, but yeah, that was different. That was back when after the other writer's strike of the 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and they wanted, we want more scabs. But yes, I'm going to watch the next episode, and because I've been over the whole backstory of how this. Yeah, and Prodigy is also very much that too. Prodigy may get saved. They're working on it. They're working on it over there to send to maybe Netflix or something. So we'll see about Prodigy. But yeah, that series is based on Red Letter Media's Star Trek Galaxy. As was Starship Location Season 1. Was also based on Galaxy. There was a 2-part episode there about that. Yeah, that was based on Mike Staloska's script. So I'm going to watch the next one.